us. He's one of the here.
Great. Let me record that. So we have Tammy Romero, Autumn Brooks, and who's the gentleman with you?
Mike Rugg is with me. RUGG.
GG. Okay. I brought someone with me. You'll see Blair is on the line. She's a lawyer who works with me. Blair's actually one of the co-founders of CPLP, and she helps me run the Mobile Home Initiative. So she expressed interest in learning more as well. So are we waiting on anyone else to join?
I don't know, Autumn.
We did have some interest. Skylar and one other person, I can't remember which one, said that they were gonna try to join as well.
Okay.
We wanted to discuss clarification on for them specifically and what their involvement would be moving forward with Victorian Village. So if nothing else, I'll help with that part.
The reason I ask is we have received a number of intake forms, like I suggested they all do. So I just want to see who among this call also submitted an intake form.
I do not live in any of the parks, so I did not. But I do know that Skylar wrote in this morning to after the meeting saying he had done it. Here, let me see who else.
Nice to meet you, Tammy,
Nice
and
to
Mike.
meet you as well.
Nikki also said she would like to be here, and Janet said she'd like to be here too. So,
well, I think we should get started if we can.
okay.
Yeah.
And we'll just update them as we go along.
Yeah. So I gave Blair the download of everything that I've learned up until this point, as well as what happened at today's meeting. I apologize. I had to leave early. I had a separate work meeting I needed to go to. Anything else from the rest of the meeting that you think is worth me knowing? I left around 9:15.
I don't know if this was said before you left or while you were still there. It was pretty close. But essentially with Victorian Village not counting, there was a statement made that there are parks that don't qualify on their own merit that have combined forces to basically make one entity to qualify, but they're still in the middle of that. So we want clarification of where Victorian Village would stand within this.
I mean, if we could pull them in with Empire Junction or Western Inn,
right,
would be very helpful.
or just combine all three of you.
That would even be better if that was possible.
If that's possible. I don't know if it is or not. I don't know if the zoning plays a part in that either. Or anything like that. So and like I said, with the zoning aspect that we were trying to change with 1190 earlier, that was to allow for the more permanent structures for the cabins for condos to be able to be included in that aspect of the mobile home park act. So for the right of first refusal.
Okay. So let me start with saying, Blair and I are lawyers. We are not your lawyers. Right now where you're just gathering information. I really appreciate you joining the call. We just want to learn as much as we can.
Absolutely.
About what's been going on to figure out if we can assist. I just need to be completely transparent about that. As prospective clients, this conversation is confidential, so we're not going to run to the park and tell them, that we spoke with you or any other third party for that matter. Just so we're 100% clear on that front. Really, I think if we just start at the most basic level, what are the 4 or 5 parks that are at issue and where are you at in the notice process?
And sorry, before we jump in that, Autumn, could you just let me know what's your role with the parks?
I am the community advocate. I got started when I found out last year one of the parks had been without water for 3 months. And then we found out during that time that they were up for sale, although not listed at that point, apparently. They apparently have been in compliance with their listing and stuff like that and their notices, except for the fact of certified mail. I just so happen to be a legislative advocate as well. So I happened to fall upon the Mobile Home Parks Act when they were going through and adjusting it last year. So I testified during that and then heard about the parks, tried to help with their immediate needs as an advocate with the school or with the school district as well. Being that students were impacted and tried to fill immediate needs. And then I discovered the sale and realized none of them knew their rights. I was just learning about it. So
Do you work for the county, Autumn?
I work for the people. Whoever needs me, whoever needs a voice.
Just from a privilege standpoint, David, I want to make sure that everything is protected.
Yeah,
If I need to leave, tell me to leave. That's fine. I am good. I understand it and we'll be okay with that. I just want to help any way I can.
And I guess for our part, we just need to know what we need to do next. I guess we got a lot of it clarified in the meeting. As far as knowing we should go with the rent increase or whatever it is and still try to address the situation.
I would suggest everybody stay on, but just know that, Autumn, if you don't live in the parks, let's just start with kind of the facts that aren't as sensitive. There would be no privilege formed because we're talking to two different, both you guys. If there's anything sensitive that you feel like, I'd really would never want anyone but my potential lawyer to hear what I have to say, maybe at that point, Autumn, we'd have you drop off. But
Okay.
let's get an idea of the timeline and the facts and we'll go from there.
Okay.
how about we start with Tammy, where do you live in Mike?
I live
Where
in
do you live?
Empire Junction. And I live in what used to be the office building when it was a functioning trailer park. And then Mr. Mike owns his own trailer.
Prior to an office building, it was also a bar,
Yeah,
which is why it's zoned as commercial residential.
Okay, and sorry, Tammy, you live in, it was formerly a bar, formerly an office, and now it's a dwelling unit?
yes, it's a duplex, basically. There's another apartment on the other side of me and I have like the economy apartment.
Gotcha. But are there other mobile homes on this
Yes.
property in Empire Junction?
Yes, we have about 7 other mobile homes, I believe,
Mm-hmm,
and we have 3 cabins.
okay.
I think it's 7, is it?
Yeah, it's about 7.
Yeah, it's about 7.
And Mike, where do you live? Also in Empire
Yeah, I
Junction?
live on unit slip 7. Here,
Also Empire Junction?
pardon me?
Mhm. Yes, Empire Junction is
Yeah,
correct.
Empire Junction, and I've been here for 10 years.
And I've been here for about 8.
And I lived back there back in the 80s.
Mhm. When it was a bar? No, I'm just joking.
No, the bar actually ended just before I was born, so.
Okay, and just so I understand the scope of it, there's also Victorian Village, which you mentioned does not qualify as a mobile home park. Do you have that right?
Based on quantity, yeah.
Okay.
It's zoned per the city as a mobile home park. The federal government recognizes, at least USPS does, as a mobile home park. Every unit is considered a lot. Based on addresses. But it's only got 3 actual mobile home units on there.
And then tell me the other parks. Can you describe them for me?
There's also Western Inn, that is the single family mountain residential. As its zoning, and they have, I want to say 16 or 17 trailers and 4 to 8 cabins. I can't really tell. I can't unfortunately walk it due to my limitations.
Sure.
So I've been looking through aerial views on it and I can't really tell for sure.
Okay. So you got Empire Junction, Victorian Village, Western Inn, and it sounds to me like Empire Junction and Western Inn both qualify as mobile home parks. What's number 4?
Lawson Village has 28 units on it. And they're all mobile homes, so it is zoned as a mobile home park. They're the only one that would qualify to work with Thistle. I have let their lead and their attorney know. I don't know if they're going that route or not. I do know that there was fear about organizing as an MHO there.
And you mentioned an attorney for Lawson Village. Is that Ellen?
Yes, through the Colorado law and policy.
Okay.
Policy and law.
And I know you just said it, but just to confirm from my notes, you said that they're working with Thistle. You just don't know if they're going to be successful.
I told them about Thistle. I don't know if they're actually working with them. They're with what's going on there is really hush hush. I do know that they were the ones to work with the county to come up with the idea of how to contract in order to be able to purchase all of them. Was my understanding that they made sure that, it was a temporary purchase with the ability for the parks to be able to purchase them back.
Okay. This is all just helpful for my information. I do want to focus on Empire Junction just because Mike and Tammy live there, and I'm sure that's what matters to them the most. Am I wrong? Is there a 5th park or is there only 4?
There is Clear Creek Cabins, but as far as we know, there's not a single mobile home up there anymore. They're all like pulled trailer RV type things and some cabins.
Okay, that's helpful.
That park was also recently renovated in, I want to say 2019.
And all these parks are grouped together because they were part of a bundle sale. Do I have that wrong?
Yes.
So
that
they
is
all have
correct.
the same
It's
owner.
being advertised as a bundle sale or partial, can be pieced out.
Okay.
At least it was. I don't know if that's going to be the same route he's taking this time.
Okay. So there's one owner. Is it a company or just one guy that owns them all?
One guy, he has hired management companies, which is what's been causing the skyrocketing of rents every time it used to be every time that they switched management companies, rents would go up. At first it would be pretty reasonable. As soon as the park started to learn about and exercise their rights, only after some kind of action was taken was when rents would raise. There has been times that they have switched for at least 2 of the parks, management companies, and did not receive a raise or a rent increase at that time. It was only when, and something was filed with the mobile home park oversight program or with Cora within a month of doing that, rents were raised. And when we called out the fact that it was being targeted, slowly they were trying to include Victorian Village and Lawson, originally trying to make it so that it would raise the same date. But they couldn't get past people saying, no, you didn't send me that email back in May. So that's where I believe the differing time frames are now showing up.
Okay. And Tammy and Mike, is that why you've reached out because of the increasing rent, or?
Yeah,
Is there
it
another
was
reason?
that and the 15-page rule thing. Because when we filed our complaint, it was about 2 weeks afterwards, we got the 15-page rule update and then the rent increase.
And when we, said in the meeting earlier today that something as little as a solo cup being drank out on the porch would be considered an alcohol related product and therefore forfeit ownership of your home and be evicted. So
Yeah.
they aren't even gonna be offered fair value in the mobile homes.
So I do want to dwell on that point a little bit. Tammy, can you break it down a little bit? So you as a group of residents filed a complaint. Was your name on that complaint?
Yes, I had my name on there and a few other residents that were complaining about the same thing because we have been having impromptu board meetings since all of this has been happening, kind of monitoring what was going on. And that's when we as a group got together then and filed the complaint with the Mobile Home Oversight Committee, but I'm the one who did the form and sent it in.
Yeah.
Is that
There were-
common practice that a mobile home park can tell its people that they can't speak to each other?
Oh,
Communicate?
you're talking about 8?
On the lease, didn't it say that?
Yeah. that is-
On Rule
they
8
send
with
out
the
things and stuff.
rule agreement, there was a provision that said no soliciting, handing out flyers, organizing, various other things. They wouldn't be able to do. I
And things
don't
like
see
if
it on
you-
the
if
lease.
you
I
have
couldn't
a
find it in the
dog-
lease. Yeah, the
Oh,
dog is
If you have a
another
dog,
thing.
your dog always has to be with you outside. You can't put it on a leash and put it outside or anything like that.
And they now have to be under 30 pounds, and if your dog is more than that, then it needs to be rehomed as of the 1st of August. They also had a provision in there that stated that you cannot have, well, they said you can have a service animal as long as it's approved by management.
But why would a management have to approve a service dog when there's service dog laws to cover service dogs?
Exactly.
That's
It
what the
is
laws are there
violation of
for.
the ADA.
Can you put that on a timeline for me, Tammy? So when you submitted that complaint and when you received the rent increase and rule
Yeah.
change?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we did the original complaint back in, a couple months ago.
It was in April, I think, was the
Yeah,
original
about
complaint.
April. And then we got about 2 weeks after that, we got the 15-page rule update. And then a few days after that, new lease came in. And then they came in with all those people to do the property assessment evaluation.
Now, back in March, there was an additional inspection code by a code enforcement that did do an inspection for the county. But those are not related to this new one.
So what's the status of that complaint? Do you know?
They're working on it. That was the review that I believe Christine said today was still gonna take another 30 days to complete. Cause every time I would get some correspondence or something, I was also notifying them of what was going on and why.
Okay. And then, you filed the complaint, these things happen. Did you by chance amend your complaint to add these, retaliation concerns?
Yes.
Oh, you
Every
did?
time something happened, I would email the Mobile Home Oversight Committee with the current situation and what was going on.
Okay, and then, so for you, Tammy, I'm just thinking of how to phrase this. What do you need from a legal organization in your own words? I know you might not know, what the
Yeah,
law.
I'm not sure
do, but-
exactly, but I know we need some kind of protection or some kind of guidance. So that we don't all land out of here on our butts, so to speak.
And the ability to be able to
Protect ourselves.
own their
Yeah.
own property.
Mhm.
I realize that that with the Mobile Home Park Act, it doesn't necessarily extend to renters. But I do kind of have a question with that because we do have property with so many renters on that. If the mobile homeowners get approved for purchasing, or if the county purchases it for it later to be transferred back to the mobile home park owners, not park, but mobile home owners. Is there anything in the law that would make it so that we couldn't give renters stake in ownership? Because, say as long as they, are paying their rent on time, participate with the group in some fashion, maybe even say, a term of 2 years every so often, they could be considered as part owners. Is there anything to state that we couldn't end up doing that eventually?
I think that the homeowner question is important for the opportunity to purchase, because the law specifically says if residents want to exercise their right under this provision, they need 51% of homeowners, not renters. So, unfortunately, renters at the mobile home park aren't really, considered for that 51% threshold. And yeah, I don't think there's anything stopping from the homeowners from saying, hey, we want everyone to have a voice. Let's extend this to renters to be a part of this. I don't think there's
But
anything
it's gotta be
stopping-
51% them.
Exactly, yeah.
We had it. We had 100% them for a minute.
So yeah, so more on that. So it sounds like there's two different issues. One is this, retaliation and maintenance concern. Two is the opportunity to purchase. Where are you at on the second option? Has a park, is it up for sale? Have you gotten a recent notice?
It
It
hasn't
will
been
be back
listed.
up for sale again.
Yeah, it hasn't been listed yet, but there is moves being made to show that it's going to be soon. The fact that the original contract to purchase with the county technically has already been rescinded, but didn't end until August 1st. I'm thinking the rent increases is no coincidence there. And it shows a pattern of behavior along with the attempting to give out free space that still people are still living in. Says to me that, they're looking to improve while cleaning house, so to speak. But
So-
cleaning
so-
house with the people that we have are the people that make this community function.
Yeah, so sorry, you're probably repeating a lot of this, so I apologize. But break down the timeline. So these parks went up for a bundle sale. There's a chance that Lawson Village is going to purchase their park. Did that original bundle sale go through or did it?
No.
What happened there? Do you mind explaining?
The county commissioners gave the housing authority the ability to purchase as they were able to mitigate costs by utilizing outside funding, the grant. We were really counting on that grant to go ahead and go through, and we really thought it was going to, but it was wholly dependent on being able to get 1190 passed, it seems, because within a week and a half of it being vetoed, we got unofficial word that we were going to be denied for that grant. So they really just need to find funding to be able for the county to purchase it first and give us enough time to organize the parks without the fear that we have right now. The fear of, if we do anything, the next thing we know, we're going to be out on our rears with no recourse and no action that we can take. So people are,
Can we back up a little bit? So the bundle sale, I hear you, that you needed to assign your rights to the county in order to purchase. But in my experience, whenever parks go up for sale, the owner is just selling it to someone else. Do you know if that was the intention, or is it just up for sale for anyone to buy?
I do believe that there was somebody looking into it. I was not privy as to who. That would be information that probably Ellen would have. But I don't know how much she can tell us because nobody from the park will tell us anything.
Yeah, that is pretty common, you know, it is pretty hush hush, but yeah, that's helpful to know. Um, have you spoken to the owner at all, and is he inclined to sell to the residents, or,
We've tried.
okay,
He's inclined for
We
the most
have
money
tried.
that he can get out of the
Yeah,
situation.
just inflating it
Yeah,
for sale.
he does not want to walk away with making what he feels is top dollar.
There are very few people he'll actually speak with among anybody in the parks, and only if the parks are not brought up. As soon as a park issue or anything about the park comes up, it's a hostile end to the conversation. We have invited him to try to come to a meeting or two with each of the parks. I've personally invited, 4-star, the M. Shapiro group thing, and, I believe that was transferred over to Carla. I've even given given permission for residents to give her my number and my contact information so I can help set up a meeting. And it
And she
just,
won't do anything but what
They-
Zach says. She will
Yeah,
not
it
step
won't happen.
one foot out of line of what he wants.
What's his
So
name?
he-
What's the owner's
he
name?
does, She bounces off of him first.
Zach Frisch.
okay. Um, another question. I have a lot of questions. Have you received the formal like notice of intent to sell pursuant to 217?
Not this time around.
No,
Okay,
just,
When-
we haven't
when
gotten
was-
the new one yet.
okay, but you think there's one coming?
There's one coming.
Yeah,
When they had an inspection a week and a half ago at each of the properties, the one person that was able to get them to talk to him found out that the inspection was not for the county, was not for insurance, it was for a potential buyer who we don't know. They did not disclose that information.
It's also common, you know, and the tracks in my experience, right? You know, they have a
Right.
potential buyer, they keep it a hush hush until
Yeah.
the last possible moment to notify residents. And yeah, you know, in my experience, when
yeah,
that
he's
happens,
been telling us all along that thing with Clear Creek, at least Carla had been telling all of us residents that the Clear Creek wasn't gonna be able to purchase the property. They were moving forward with their own plans. And that's what they
Clear
said when
Creek
they
still
came in
wants
with
to
those
be able
people.
to. Clear Creek still wants to be able to. I'm hoping that maybe those two, if they are two programs, I don't know if they are or not. But if what Senator Roberts had suggested, either the revolving fund or the mobile home park fund, I doubt with Victorian. But those are low cost loan or no cost loan programs, which might be an option for the district. I don't know. It might be an option for at least 3 of the parks. If there's the ability to say, hey, us 2 parks want to adopt this park and pull it into the fold and it just be one big company. I don't know if you can do that. But it would be nice.
Just to give you all the heads up on time, I've got about 8 minutes more on my meeting time and then it'll probably close me out.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Do we need to
I
set
can
up
start a
another
new one
meeting?
if I have to.
I do have the rest of the next 30 minutes available to talk. So if you need to, I could send another
Okay.
Zoom bite. Blair, was there anything you wanted to say?
So to make sure I have the timeline right, so even though you guys have had an inspection come out, you haven't gotten any type of written notice in the last 2 months, 3 months saying this park, there's an intent to sell the park. It would have had to be given to each of the residents
They
at their lot.
They couldn't have done it until the contract was rescinded, and that only happened about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, with Clear Creek County, since they were making the bid to purchase.
Okay, so it sounds like the two things that are kind of going on is there's the whole offer to buy the park that Clear Creek seems like it might still be engaging in. that doesn't sound like something CPLP would be really involved in. If the county would like to talk to us, we can try to connect them to other counties we've worked with before that have gone through this process, but we don't really get involved in the funding side of it. So that we would be of limited help there. I hope that they can pull funding together and make that deal go through. That would be a great outcome, I think, for everybody involved. But let's assume worst case scenario, if Clear Creek is not successful in putting in a bid to buy the park and the park goes forward with another sale. I think there's an argument that you guys already should have gotten a notice. It seems like the park owner is taking steps that show an intent to sell. The notice requirement is not necessarily just triggered by listing the property. It comes earlier. It's an intent to want to sell the property. But if you guys haven't gotten the notice, that means that there's no timeline that started to run on your opportunity to purchase
Yet,
process.
good.
So you guys, in that respect, are a little bit ahead of the game. I think one big open question, though, and this is maybe where I'm going with all this, is without getting the notice, do you guys have any idea if this park owner is looking to just sell the park to another owner and it's going to continue to be operated as a mobile home park, or if there's also an intent, I think I heard condos, like to change the use of the park?
I
to
have
something really
heard,
different?
that rumors, nothing concrete. I can't
too.
verify it. But I have heard rumors that the buyer is a developer.
That's what
So
I've heard as well. Not any
they
name or
might-
anything, but that's what I've heard as well.
they might be looking to displace 12% of our population.
Well, if they're planning on selling it to a developer, why are they advertising to have mobile home people come up here?
It's the quickest way to improve the property for
Well,
the cheapest.
isn't it, well, I mean, is that legal to tell somebody, bring your new mobile home up here and sign a 3-year lease and we'll give you your space free for a certain amount of time,
Mhm.
when they know damn well that that's not what it is?
Yeah, so generally speaking, it is legal. They do need to follow certain requirements. One, they need to get approval to change the use from, a municipality, the county, whoever. 2, they need to give you a year notice. So you're gonna have a year, timeline before they can change the use of the park. And, before the end of the year, you get an option where they need to either move your home, buy your home at its fair market value, or if it's not worth anything, give you either, I think it's 7,500 or 10,000 for your home, depending on if it's single wide or double wide. So that's what the law is a long timeline. They buy your home. Here's the bad news, though. The landlord is free to raise rent, and I see this all the time. New landlord comes in, they raise rent a lot, and I think that's a huge gap in the law. Because if I'm the landlord, what am I going to do? Am I going to wait a full year, or I could just price you out, make it so you can't afford your rent. I'm free to do that, and get you out that way. So
That's part of
what's
what's
happening.
going on.
Yep, that's exactly what's happening.
yeah,
They're pricing them out and trying to improve the value of the property by moving new stuff in, and it's scary all the way around.
yeah, it is a big concern and a huge gap in the law. That's why the act, the legislators wanted to add a rent cap to the law, but you
We're
probably know
bringing
the
it back
story.
next year.
So, well, I guess with 3 minutes, I'm happy to keep talking. I could send tigerlilies02@gmail. Is that your?
That's me.
Okay. So if you need to keep talking, I could send you another Zoom link, Tammy.
Well, we're just kind of looking at some direction right now on how to go and how to proceed from here, basically.
Yeah, so just so what I'm kind of thinking right now, I actually have a call with the guy from Thistle right after this call. It's on a different subject, but I kind of do want to bring up what's going on here and see if you can share any information to see if Thistle can help out with other parks, see what's going on there. I also invited another legal organization at this morning's meeting, and I plan to have a call with them tomorrow at 2 to see if they're available to help out.
Okay,
I won't disclose any, personal information because like I said, this is a confidential conversation, But I will talk generally about what we think are the issues and what we see as potentials for a lawyer to help out. How does that sound as a
That
starting?
sounds wonderful. Yeah,
That
that sounds
sounds
exactly
awesome.
like what we're looking for.
Okay.
And I think, because I feel for you guys, you're kind of in this holding pattern right now where things are coming, they just haven't come yet. But I think that, the best time for a lawyer to get involved is going to be after you do get that written notice from the park.
Okay,
Because that notice is gonna tell us, if the plan is for it to continue to stay a mobile home park, or the plan is for it to change use. And those trigger completely different sets of rights and timelines and plans of action. So I think until we know which one of those is the landlord, the owner's intent, we could talk to you guys about what both of them look like, but it's gonna be hard to act on anything until we
right.
what that is.
Should Victorian Village stay involved at this point or not? They don't want to hinder or waste time or any of that either. If
So-
this is not the route they can take.
It's a tough question, and I would say probably not, because it seems to me like there's a lot of potential for the interest to disalign. What I mean is, frankly, you all as a mobile home park have more rights than those residents, and I don't want to use this phrase. I just can't think of a better phrase, but they can weigh you down in being successful, with your park. That's my initial gut reaction. I will think more about it though.
Is there any resources in that case that we can send their way to help